stories that are both a delight to read and to hear. What was that? It all started, in bed, with sounds from the floor above Ted's head. Was that on the next floor, or were those sounds from the neighbors next door? Were those noises near, or were they far away from here? Ted really couldn't hear them too well. Was that a loud yell, or just something that fell? What was that thumping and bumping at night? It's awfully muffled and doesn't sound right. Was that rumbling and mumbling by someone who's snoring, or tigers and lions far away roaring? Was that a grunt, a growl, or was it a groan? Was that grumpy grumbling, or was it a moan? Was that just talking too loud on the phone, or was somebody learning to play a trombone? Was that a ping, a ding, or was it a ting? That could have been almost anything. Was that from a door whomping shut? It's hard to know just what sound is what. What's that sound there? That's not very clear, like plopping and flopping of basset hound ears. A plunk, a plop, a clunk. Was that something thrown? Was that the dog chasing a new chewy bone? Was that a rap, a tap, and then a tick-tock, like noises from inside a grandfather clock? Was that a slam, or was it a bam, like a book falling flat with a very loud wham? Was that a crash, or was it a smash, like dishes being dropped in the sink with no splash? Was that something whacked, or was it just thwacked, like a black hairy bug that somebody smacked? Was that a clank, a clang, or a clickety-clack of a train, or the wind just twirling the old weather vane? Are those squeaks and scratches from closing and fastening old window latches, or rattling and scraping from pointy tree branches? Was that grinding or grating like someone ice skating? Or a key in the lock? And what was that knock? Who was that speaking? Was that cracking and creaking like burglars on stairs robbing and sneaking? Were those jouncing and bouncing big balls bopping and bonking off all of the walls? The sound started out softly, like a whir and a whoosh, and then went flat with a walloping swoosh, then a loud whap, and a kind of warbling, wobbling woo, just before it was completely through. Some of the sounds Ted just couldn't name. Some of the sounds almost sounded the same. Was that huffing or puffing? Was that plinking or plunking? Was that jingling or jangling? Was that crinkling or sprinkling? Was that fizzling or sizzling? Was that snapping or tapping? Was that crunching or munching? Was that someone closing the cupboards, closets, and doors, or were hippos dancing across all the floors? Was that squishing and croaking like hopping bullfrogs? Was that grunting and whistling like baby hedgehogs? Was that thumping and scrunching like bunnies amuck? Were they all being loaded onto a truck? Was that trampling, stamping, romping, or stomping like polar bears clomping? Or was it much more like hungry bears chomping? Cymbals clash, a bass drum beats. Was that a band marching up the street or a bunch of monsters with gigantic loud feet? What was that mashing and bashing Ted heard? It sounded just like an elephant herd. Whatever it was, it just scattered about, then sounded way off and faded right out. It sounded like the barn on a very large farm. Was that gabbling ducks on the loose, or the whooping and honking from one giant goose? Ted heard a cluck, a quack, a bleat, an oink, and a cock-a-doodle-doo. Was that a cow or bull that said moo? It grew very quiet. The sounds almost stopped. It was then that Ted thought that he heard a pin drop. Ted heard chirping or cheeping, a small tweet and a peep just before Ted fell off to sleep.